And SABC Political Editor Mzwandile Mbeje was there and joins us live now. Mzwai, you know, there's a lot politically that's going on. And I'm going to start with what we just saw before we even get to the ANC. What's going on with the NFP?
Yeah, I guess, well, a very good evening to the viewers. I guess is the problem that we have seen, particularly in so many small parties or smaller parties, where if then there's no leader, and then they will fight, unfortunately, fight to death, literally, in terms of the party, because clearly the NFP is battling. They've been losing a lot of ground. Even in that battling, so they are still fighting, they are fragmenting themselves even further. So one wonders what will happen after this weekend, because the people who claim to be NFP, they're sitting at home. The people who claim to be NFP, they're at the conference. Which is which? And it makes our job very, very difficult. I mean, as a politics editor, so what do I do? Do I cover? Do I not cover? Because you are confusing us.
And you don't even know who you're talking to, because you speak to the one and then they say, no, we need a right of reply. And at the same time, this is a political party that says it's going to be the kingmaker come 2024.
I mean, if you look at the kind of developments that are happening, certainly, I mean, there's a question that you asked there towards the end to say, will you even contest? I mean, under these circumstances, the chances of them not contesting are very high, because the IEC will probably even be contested. I mean, two people will go there, and then the IEC will say who is who in the zoo. So it will be quite interesting.
Yeah, let's get on to another story that you've been tracking during the course of the day, and we saw that the wrapping up of the review of the, you know, the manifesto of the ANC. And its president says that they are on a path to renewal. It depends who you speak to. And as they've, you know, gone on this particular mission, they've spoken to various South Africans who have varying views. So does he feel that this process was a resounding success, according to him?
Well, according to him, it was a resounding success. And when he speaks about it being engaged in renewal, he keeps on saying it's not a once-off event, it's a process. He feels the systems and the processes they are putting in place are sufficient evidence to back up what they are saying in terms of renewal. But of course, as you would correctly know, even within their own ranks, I mean, we saw what happened, that interview that you had with Mzwandile. So I wish we could do a follow-up and find out what was the change of mind after those.
We have requested. We're waiting for a response.
It will be quite interesting, because I think he was very clear, even in that statement which he had issued. But of course, linked to what I'm saying about Mzwandile is this perception by some within the ANC, particularly the veterans. You've heard, I think former President Mbeje has been very clear to say, since the 2017 resolution, and then you repeated it in 2022, but nothing has happened. So when you look at all those, and the event that, I don't know whether it's still an event or it was a non-event, but of course the President is adamant that so they are engaged in this process, and then the process that they've been doing of speaking to people, yes, he admits that there are challenges, and then they are confronting those head on. So I normally say in these situations, Bongi, fortunately, we are probably 5 months away from actually checking if indeed what they've been saying is understood or accepted by South Africans. And what is that? The vote. So that is what will decide. That's why, I mean, a democratic dispensation like ours will afford everyone an opportunity to get given a chance for 5 years, prove yourself, do what you're supposed to do. If they disapprove of you, so they will show that. If, of course, they agree with some of these, other than us hearing from them, they will say that again. So it's going to be very interesting build-up to the next year's elections.
And I tell you, history has taught us never to take your predictions lightly. So you are calling it, and you've called quite a bit before. So we're taking you very seriously. But speaking of events, there's another event tomorrow. The former President Jacob Zuma, he also is holding his own briefing, and the current ANC president had something to say about that.
Yes, I mean, we wouldn't miss the opportunity of asking what would be his reaction, because as we were sitting in the round table with the president, a statement from the foundation, because remember, that public announcement had been issued without any recognizable logo. So, but then a statement from the foundation came out to say, actually, that which you have seen about the former president is authentic. So what that means is that at 2 o'clock tomorrow in Soweto, he will be making a public announcement about his political future. So then that begs the question, this is someone who has led the ANC, this is someone who has been part of the ANC for the rest of his life. So then when you speak about politics and Zuma in the future, you immediately think of the ANC. But then comes a statement like this. So what does it mean? Is he changing tune, or is he changing lanes? So when we posed that question to the president to say, the former president, Mr. President, is making a political statement, and then he says, well, he's made the statements before, so they'll be watching and monitoring what exactly he's going to be saying. But beyond that, obviously, the president will have to be diplomatic in how he answers. But beyond that, it is actually very interesting to check what exactly is the president, the former president, going to say. I mean, let's assume he leaves. Yeah, it will, obviously, it will be big. I mean, this is someone who's led the country, who's led the ANC, who's been in the ANC forever. This is someone who has always preached that even if you have difficulty with the ANC leadership, don't leave the ANC. You can rather fight with people, but not necessarily the ANC. So it would be very interesting if that is what he's going to do. Or, but in terms of the impact, certainly there will be an impact sufficient enough to perhaps get the ANC out of power. I'm not sure about that.
Briefly then, Mzwai, there's something else that is very critical, though, coming out of this particular ANC conference, is listening to the electoral committee's, guidelines, as well as the criteria when it comes to those who are going to be eligible then to be placed on the different lists. And quite an emphasis on individuals who have a proven track record, an emphasis on individuals who can draft policy, and an emphasis on individuals who can take, can hold government to account on behalf of the people.
I mean, if the ANC wouldn't have learned what it needs to do in the past 30 years, they certainly would never do that. This is the opportunity for them. For me, it's very interesting to see them doing that in practical terms, because, I mean, even if you look at the policies of the ANC, I mean, generally South Africans agree with them, but it's been at the implementation phase where they've been lacking. Sometimes you would find people who love the ANC, who are ANC, but may not have requisite skills. So if that is the shift, I guess that will be welcome news, because it will basically mean some of the challenges that we've been having will be dealt with, I mean, quite with ease. I mean, you've found people who you can't question their loyalty to the movement and even to this country, but then you realize there is a deficiency in that they may not be qualified enough to execute the task they've been given.
It's going to be an interesting one. I get the feeling that you need to stay close. Tomorrow we'll probably be speaking again on the more political developments, looking at what exactly is happening there. That is our political editor, Mzwandile Mbeje.